I haven't had a chance to catch up with you guys in a while, and I'm currently on in the middle of an 7 hour drive. So I figured it would be a good time to catch up. I kind of wanted to talk about, I wanted to talk about a serious note and then not a serious note, but I'll just start with the serious. So I have been doing a school of ministry, and I'm like halfway through it, and it's been really cool. I was really nervous going in. Like, when I first heard about it, I really didn't want to be involved in it at all, because I was really scared, because I've accepted that I have a lot of differing opinions and like views and beliefs about like everything, just because of things that have happened in my life, and just because of that I was really scared, because Christians in certain communities can be really, and Oklahoma especially, can be really or at least known to be like really harsh and unaccepting. And I'm not saying that Christians are that way, but more of like there's a stereotype, and there definitely are those Christians that are like that, just like there are those people like that everywhere. But I was just really nervous going in, because I had already been through some stuff this like summer that it just made me feel uncomfortable for feeling differently about certain things. And so for my school of ministry class, it's really cool because rewinding, the first, before I even signed up, I went up to the lady who is in charge of it, and I was like, so will I be welcomed if I have a different belief than you? I didn't want to go into it and feel, one, judged for what I believe, or two, they have to teach me what to believe, or teach me their way. I didn't want to be in that kind of course. But during I have this yellow stuff on my face, so sorry about that. But they're crop dusting, that's so cool. But during the orientation, Amy talked about how really what we're going to be doing during this course is first learning, figuring out what we believe, and then second part is figuring out how to share that. And so that was kind of where I was, because I've been in the spot where I know that I don't believe, everything that my church and my family and people around me believe. I know that, and I don't feel like there's a specific branch or denomination of Christianity that I agree with, but I don't know them very well. And I also don't want to feel like I have to find something that fits me. I want to just live out my faith and not categorize it, I guess. And so I was intrigued when she said that that's what we're going to be doing, is figuring out what we believe and how to share it. And so that's when I came up to her and asked, well, will I be welcome? Will it be okay if I don't believe everything you believe? And she was like, oh honey, for sure. And so I decided to do it, and I've been doing it for a few, I want to say a month, close to a month. And unfortunately I was sick this week, and this was the week that what we were doing was we were sharing, figuring out what we believe, and we were sharing, our prompt was basically write an essay or a list or something, I believe blank. And so I had prepared something ahead of time, but I got really sick that day of, and so I couldn't go, and I was really bummed about it. And so I thought that maybe it would be a good idea to share that here, and I could even share this with her, who knows? And yeah, so kind of like a backstory on my faith is I was raised in a Christian household. If any of you know Crossings Church, that's where my mom grew up going to church. Well, basically my family's been going to Crossings since it wasn't even called Crossings. And so my mom grew up going to church there. My grandma, for my whole childhood, was a Sunday school teacher for like kindergarten girls, and then for a period it was girls and boys. And so like we were always there. And Crossings is a very big church. I wouldn't say it's super modern, but it's also like it's transitioning. But it's not like super traditional either. I don't know. And I don't even know the like denomination of it. But then like as I got a little older, my mom and I kind of started going to a different church. And then we got into this dilemma of, so most of you know that I was raised as an only child with a single mom. So I was raised without a dad, and for some reason the pastor at my new church would continually give speeches or sermons about like fatherless boys, and it just like really hurt. I don't know, like I know it wasn't intentional, but like my mom would get really mad about it. And so over time, like there was also drama. It was a small church, and like I had played club for a long time, and the coaches were like, some of the coaches were the pastors at the church, and it just got like I just like didn't feel as welcomed. I don't know. And so, this was like middle school when we decided to not go there anymore. And so it got to the point where I kind of stopped going to church, other than holidays. But I do like think as a child I was still like, I didn't just label myself as a Christian. Like I did believe, but I didn't like have a purpose or a super big relationship. I think I always had like conversations with God, and I was always thinking about it and talking about it, but I didn't really go like on a consistent basis. But in middle school and high school, I did go to like youth groups, in youth ministry, which was really, it was a really good point for me, and it brought me into like falling in love with ministry and with, not as much like I want to be a minister, or like I don't feel called into ministry, which was another reason that I was kind of nervous about doing the school of ministry. Is I don't want to become a pastor or become a youth leader. Well, I am a youth leader, but like I don't feel called into that field, but I feel like that's something I can do on the side of what I do feel called into. And so there's construction. Yeah, so I lost my train of thought. But I did feel called into doing mission trips, and fell in love with that, and that's kind of like what's led me into, that kind of like started off my basis of like love and of wanting to like see the world and see people, not even like see the beautiful sights and sceneries of the world and go on like trips. Like, yeah, that's, everyone wants to do that, but really just like seeing the beautiful, like the people and the way that communities like coexist, and the way that they are so much vastly different than the communities I'd been raised in and I'd been exposed to, and just like the ways they functioned and the way that they could be in like completely miserable like livelihoods, but like still have so much joy and just love coming out of them. And so like I fell in love with that, and I did mission work through my high school, all of high school. So I did like one every summer through my youth ministry program, K-Life, and was involved in that. And I knew that my faith was important to me, but like my values and my virtues like weren't necessarily, I'm a Christian and this is why I believe them, but it had to do with like things that I'd grown up with and things that I'd encountered in my life. So like I didn't choose to not drink in high school because I'm a goody two-shoes and blah, blah, blah. Like, I chose not to because that my father was an alcoholic, and the things that had happened to him, and the things that how it had affected the fact that I wasn't single, like I had a single parent, and the fact that I never got to meet him. Like, that's kind of why I decided not to. And then, like, the reason that I want to save myself for marriage isn't about, honestly, it's really not about anything in the Bible or about Christianity. It genuinely has to do with my dad and, like, how that relationship with my mom, or lack thereof, I guess, affected my childhood and affected, like, the way I was raised, and the fact that I never got to meet my dad, and the fact that my mom had to struggle, and the fact that my mom's been single for the rest of her life, and just so much that has come to surface from that, like, one decision, that it doesn't, like, make me feel like a better Christian because I don't do that. And it's not like I have the temptation that everyone has. It's that I know that how decisions now can really affect the future. And I've given myself so much more grace this year because I'm always so uptight on myself. And honestly, my whole childhood, like in school and everything, I was harder on myself than anybody. Like, timeouts, nothing did really much to me, but if I did something bad, like, I would, my guilt and, like, my shame of myself, I'd be so ashamed and I'd be so mad at myself for a bad grade that, like, I would get on to myself. And so I have, like, always been so uptight with everything I do. Like, I don't want to make any mistakes. I'm so OCD, that I just, like, it was so hard for me to, like, I'd stress out about every decision because I didn't want to make any mistakes. And my senior year, I got really close to a friend's mom, Kay, and she was like, Jillian, you got to, like, you're giving everyone else grace for being teenagers, making mistakes, doing dumb things, but, like, you haven't given yourself any grace. And, like, it's not she's saying or I'm saying, like, I'm just gonna go do a bunch of crazy stuff and be okay with it. It's just, like, I'm a teenager for the next couple weeks at least, and, like, or a young adult, and honestly, I was really I wasn't perfect growing up, but I was, like, I was a good kid. I didn't get in trouble. I fought with my mom, but, like, didn't have bad grades, didn't get in trouble. Like, I don't know. And so I guess, like, now I just have so much, like, I feel like I still have to be that perfect kid, and I don't. Like, I don't need to please anybody. You can get over, truck. And it's just, like, this definitely got way off track, but it's fine. I have, like, 5 more hours to drive. Actually, like, 4.5, but, so I just, like, how my beliefs and everything, like, I've just given myself a lot more grace and, like, forgiveness, because that's something I have to work on. Like, it's so hard for me to forgive anybody, but forgiveness is something that I have to learn how to do, and that, like, forgiveness is one of the, like, biggest factors in love and in loving people and in loving myself especially. And so I have to give myself grace and forgive myself for stupid mistakes, stupid decisions, and let myself just, like, be a kid and, like, well, I'm not even a kid, but you get what I'm saying. And so, like, this year, just since everything has happened, I have grown. Like, so much shit and stuff has happened, but it's brought me so close to my faith and to, like, understanding who I am and believing what I believe, and being okay with the fact that, like, I don't need to justify why I believe what I believe. I don't need to justify that, like, it's okay for me to believe differently, and it's okay for me to be involved in things, and it's okay for me to, I don't know, it's okay for me to go have a drink, but then, like, go to church the next day. Like, I wouldn't say, like, I don't believe I do believe in like being a hypocritical Christian. I do believe there's so many people like that, like fake Christians and things like that. But I believe it has to do with the way you treat others and your intent in your life and the why, like the why behind why you do decisions and what you do. And I believe, like, I don't drink very much, but like if I have a glass of wine, that's not, and then go to church the next day or something like that, that doesn't affect, that's not changing my faith, but, and that's not changing how I treat others. But if I get wasted and put other people in danger and mistreat people, then that is. And I think that like coming down to the core of my beliefs has to do with like my relationship with myself and others. And so like going back into what I believe is just that this year has changed a lot for me, and I've always had this like gut feeling, and I'm gonna like, one of the reasons I hate politics and I don't even like to look at things or like get into it is because I'm such a like obsessive compulsive, like ADD, need to know the details, like analytical person, that if I get involved in something, I can see both sides of the issue, but like I need to decide, but I can't decide. Like I'm so indecisive. Like even picking like where to go eat is really hard, and so many hay barrels. But anyways, and so it's just like hard for me to like, I get so stressed out about these things that in the big picture of my life and the things that I can affect people and what I want to be doing is just extra details and stress that I don't need to have. So I've just started to like pay less attention to politics unless like I feel like I really need to be knowing what's going on, or like I don't need to get into the debate about what I believe or prove to you why I believe it. Like I believe what I believe because that's like in my heart. And so like I have a couple controversial beliefs that like, well, like one thing, like I don't like to get in the whole, like I didn't really ever think about gun control until I was in Pepperdine and there was that shooting, and then I started to think about it, but like I don't need to go share my opinion unless I want to, and like if you do it, like that's great, but like I'd rather share my opinion about things that I'm passionate about. And so like, yeah, but there are some controversial things that like have been really stuck in my heart lately, and I have no idea why. And like one of those especially is like LGBTQ rights and everything. Like I don't know, I'm not educated enough on like the details of it and stuff, but to like give a valid point or make an argument. But in my like, I honestly don't even have like a relationship with anybody who fits in that category. But for some reason, like in the pit of my stomach and like my heart, I just don't believe, my personal belief is I like don't believe that God, I haven't even read that part of the Bible because I don't believe that what I'm being told by people that God says like man and woman have to be together, and any other way then it's a sin and it's terrible and blah, blah, blah. Like I don't, in my heart, like core of who I am, I don't know why, but I don't agree with that, and I don't believe God would say that, and I don't have a reason why. And that's the like thing that's so hard for me, is like I want to justify and like have a reason for everything, but sometimes there isn't. And there isn't like I said, I'm not, and I like am not in a relationship or have friendships with anybody that is, or there's no one in my family that I know personally. And so like I don't know why I feel this way, but it's something that's become really like heavy on my heart, that like, and a lot of people don't necessarily know that I feel that way because I'm too scared to say it sometimes, or I don't want to get into a debate about it. Like the first time I brought it up to someone, they just kept saying like, but why? Like why do you feel that way? And I was like, I don't know, I just do. I don't need to like justify it to you. And they're like, but why? Like why? I don't know. And it just like got really annoying. And like I think that everyone can make a change, but like I don't feel called to go out and like make a difference in that. But I feel like my belief and like who I am is valid, And like loving people is the core of like what my belief is. And I like the way we treat people and the way we like even make that decision for them is not what I believe love is. And I definitely like, I think faith is a personal, individualized thing. Like, it's different for every single person out there, and it shouldn't be the same for everyone, because we've all gone through different things. We've all had different crap and different baggage and experienced things that have led us to have different opinion, and like having different opinions and having different personalities and having like different views. And that's what makes us like so unique as like a species, is that we can be different, and we should appreciate that. And it just like the fact that people can't be okay with like differing beliefs and differing religions and differing like things is so like heartbreaking to me. And it's just so mind-boggling that like I don't even want to think about it. Like, it stresses me out, the fact that people can't just like appreciate each other for and love each other for who they are, and not like try to like, I don't want you to be me, because then I wouldn't be unique. And so like, I don't know, it just like is mind-boggling. And another belief I have that it's been kind of a recent thing that I really just never thought about, and the more like I've started to think about it, and the more, so like with my ministry, school of ministry, and like being a lot more involved in my church and just my faith altogether, and having that like daily conversation with the Lord, and I like read the Bible daily now, has been like, I never, like my one, like, I don't know the word for it, like my one pitfall, no, like my one, the thing where I always fell short in my faith was definitely that I wasn't, like, I was almost like too afraid to read the Bible, because I would run across things that I would disagree with, like the part about like man and woman and things like that, and I haven't even read that part yet. But I do believe that like the more and more I've like been in my faith, the more I've realized that like people say like, you know the Lord, like the, like you get to know him so much better and can understand like his messages that he's saying to you, because when you read, like when you're in like the Bible and having that conversation with him daily, and like that's how you get to know him. But for me, like one of my biggest like nervous, like anxious things is that like I have these prayers and I don't know what his answers are, or like I'll see something and be like, oh my gosh, that's a sign from God, but then I'm like, wait, am I making this up? And then I'll have like differing signs that are like yes and no, or like opposites, and I'm like, what am I doing? Like, how do I even know that this is God talking to me, or like, does he talk to me, or like, is this Satan tempting me? And like, how the heck do I tell the difference? And like the answer every time from anyone I've asked is like, the more you read the Bible, the more you can, and the more like you grow in your relationship with Christ, the more you can like distinguish Christ's messages and his communication with you from like Satan's, from temptations, from your own thoughts. And so that's kind of like why I'm going like, so what if I come across things that are making me uncomfortable and I'm still anxious about it in the Bible, but it's not bad to have read them and to have like say, okay, that's there, I get that. And this whole thing, like, I'm not preaching out to like tell you to believe these things. I just I've realized that when I share things like this, where my consciousness doesn't stay steady enough for me to write all this down, but if I'm having a conversation, even if it's to my screen or to the road, you can see I'm doing this super safe. I'm setting it on my wheel and holding my wheel, so yeah. But just don't do this at home, I guess, or on the road. I don't even know if I'm out of Kansas yet. Kansas is the most boring state, but I have learned to appreciate the beauty in everything, so I will say it's beautiful. It's just very consistent, which consistency isn't a bad thing. But going back to what I was saying, and I have to pee, so I need to look for a gas station. But like, just through growing in my faith and through like getting to know the Lord, I don't believe that the Lord, okay, this is kind of controversial, not really, I don't know, it's kind of confusing, but like for some reason I just have this like belief that I don't think that hell exists, or I don't think that anyone would go to hell, because, and this is me trying to like my analytical side, and I'm not trying to like make you believe it. I'm just explaining why I think this. So like the one thing that like humans are known to be is imperfect, right? And like God made us and loves us no matter what, made us in his image, and he looked at his creation and said like, it is finished, like that's perfect, that's beautiful, just the way it is. But like we are no, like our whole thing is that we have flaws, and if we were not given free will, then us choosing the Lord would be his decision, and it would be meaningless. But with free will, like us choosing the Lord and us loving the Lord and loving others is our decision, and that like that means so much more. That's like, I don't know, I guess like, you know, like when you're, that's like you being forced to love somebody. Like, I don't know. I don't even know how, that's like you picking something. I don't even know how to explain it. I guess it's like you're given the family you have versus like you picking one. I just don't even know. There's not even an example I can give right now. But, and like, anyways, so like the Lord loves us. And God, he sent his son to die on the cross to forgive our sins, right? And so God looks at all of our sins. We look at this like balance of like, we see sins like this is murder, this is like a lie, this is, and like we look at it like this, but God looks at it from above and he says they're all the same to me. So me lying to my mom about getting home 5 minutes after my curfew, which I've never had a curfew, so that's a bad example, but is the exact same to me going and like, this is a really bad example, but like doing mass genocide, like those in God's eyes are equivalent, which is mind-boggling. It's so weird to think about. But how I've chosen to look at that is like, that means that God loves me just as much as God loves the person that went in out and killed somebody, and like, because it's his child. Like, if you go and kill someone, your parents love you, they hate what you did. But that like feeling that you're their child is still there, you know? That's, I don't know. Forget I said the killing examples, but like that is such a huge part of like our faith is that, and of God is that he loves us and forgave us for our sins no matter what. And if he looks at every sin equally, then all of us are equal in his eyes. And if he loves us with like more than anything we could ever imagine how much love that is for every single person, every single thing. And I don't believe that he would send even one of his children that he loves that much to perish and like suffer in hell. Like, I don't believe that he would send, and like once we've died, like our soul, our consciousness is we can't even understand. Like, it's so different than what it is now. Like, I just don't believe that he would send anybody to condemnation. Like, I just don't believe that. And I don't know, like, what about the people who've never even heard of Christ? Like, why should they go to hell because they've never heard of it? I just don't believe that. I don't know. Maybe there's like a space in between when you die and then when you go to hell or heaven, and this is for him to like give you that time to like choose him, and then you go to heaven, or you just, I don't know, which that is even called purgatory. So I don't know, and I don't, like, we're never supposed to understand that. We're not supposed to know, because if we knew that we were all, no matter what, going to go to heaven, then why wouldn't we live like, we would just live like, we'd be terrible people to each other and be like, I'm going to heaven anyways. But if we're like trying to be our best versions of ourselves and love people, then like we're spending our whole lives being good people, and then we go to heaven and we didn't even know. Like, it's kind of like God gave us free will. Even though he knows what we're going to do, he gave us free will to make decisions. So like, he knows what's gonna happen. He knows if we're gonna make a bad decision, but he loves us. And so like, it's like us, like, for heaven, like, he knows we're gonna go to heaven, but he's giving us the choice to like be good people, and love the way he did. And so that's just like, I just like getting into it, it's just so mind-boggling that like and we're not supposed to understand. And that's the hardest part, is like, I'm definitely one of those people that's like, I need to understand why or what's going on, but I never fully will. No one ever fully will, because like only God does. And that's what's so like hard to believe. But like, my faith for me and what I believe is that like, if you had to like put everything in Christianity, I'm sure I've said this before, but if you had to put everything in all the beliefs of Christianity and you had to like sum it up in like one thing, is we are told to try to walk like Jesus did. And trying to step in his footsteps, summed up into one thing, how did he walk? He loved people. That's what he did. He loved, and that is forgiving and giving grace and being understanding and accepting our differences and not forcing us to be anything. Or like, Jesus never forced anyone to do anything. We were given free will, so like, we shouldn't force anybody else. If God gave us free will, if Jesus gave us free will, and we're trying to be like him, then we have to give one another free will. And you may not agree with their decisions, but you love them anyways. You love them despite it. You love them for the differences they have. And you don't even know if what you believe is right. Like, who knows? Maybe hell does exist, but I don't necessarily believe it does, but maybe it does. And if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But I value that I have an opinion. I value that, like, I think about it, and I'm actually trying to, like, live out my faith and understand that. And that's really, like, where we are. Is I'm just here. I'm not perfect by any means. Either you may make better decisions than I do or be a better person. I don't know. But, like, I can't change you. I can accept you and love you. And that's, like, what my purpose here is on earth. Like, is I'm just supposed to spread the love, like, that God gave us. Someone told me, someone said one time, they said, like, if God gave you forgiveness, he gave you love, it is selfish for you to keep it for yourself. And that's what he gave us, this, like, abounding gift that's never ending and it's constantly flowing. It's like a chocolate fountain that never turns off. And you can't keep that to yourself. You gotta share it. You don't get a chocolate fountain for yourself, you get a chocolate fountain for a party. And you invite everybody. That's like how our faith's supposed to be. Invite everybody to the party. Invite everybody to church. They don't have to believe it, but you can love them. They may say no. You can love them. You can keep inviting them. You can give them their space. But you just love people. And you just wrap your arms around them. And you just, like, have you ever had that feeling where you're like, I don't know, like in a beautiful scenery, or it's like fall weather, or it's about to rain and there's that like smell of rain, and you're just like, and you just like breathe it in. I can't really breathe it right now, but you just breathe it in, and you're like, wow, this is incredible. Like, look at this creation. Like, look at this amazing thing. Like, that's how I feel. Like, that's how I feel. Like, logically, I feel like we should be about people. Is we should just like breathe it in and be like, God made that person, and I may not agree with what's going on, but God has a plan for them, and I can be here to walk by them and guide them if they need it, show them Jesus. And that's the thing, is like, I don't think that we should sit here and show people Jesus by, my fingers hurt, okay. I don't think like it's my job to sit here and show you Jesus by like, literally just sit here and like read a manual. It's not like that. There's no, like, I mean, the Bible's a manual basically, but like there is no like, this is exactly how you do it. It's like, these are kind of like broad, like an outline. The Bible's like an outline, and the meat that we fill into our outline is unique to every single one of us. And I just like, I don't think that like when you turn in an essay, like unless someone copied stuff, like there's never going to be an exact same like you can even be given, have you ever been given an outline and you have to like write the essay but you like have the same outline? Either way, like everything is not going to be the same. There's not even going to be one, like, even say every sentence except for one sentence is different, like that's theoretically a different essay. Not, I don't know, you may get plagiarism, but like everyone, like you can't live the exact same life as anybody else. But if we all just look at, I think of like in the snow, there's those like really big footsteps. Have you ever like walked in the snow and you kind of like try to step on people and the footsteps are already there? And like that's what I think of, like Jesus is like, he's this huge footstep. There's no way our foot will fill it. And we just like try to step on it. And even if we step, like if we're just reaching for it, we may not even get there. But like eventually, like we'll be able to at least touch his footstep. We'll never have the same footstep ever, footprint, whatever, but we're just reaching for it. And that's what he wants us to do, is he wants us to reach for him, to reach for his feet, to reach to walk like him and to love people, and not to turn and be like, your footstep's not close enough. Be like, oh, you got it next time. Like, yeah. And sometimes I'm just like speechless at like, because these like thoughts, these beliefs of mine, like I've never been able to put it into words like that until like honestly now. And that's what's so hard, and like what I really encourage you guys to try is try to like have a conversation like this and like say, like, sometimes you don't realize what you believe until you say it out loud or write it down. I personally am not very good at writing it down, and so like this like communication or conversation with myself, it blows my mind sometimes, because I'm like, wow, I didn't think about that, and I say it out loud and then I'm like, huh. And it's really cool to just be able to come to conclusions and like draw conclusions and like make connections. Like it's bewildering, and it's so cool. Yeah. Well, I just kind of wanted to share a little bit about my beliefs, and I will say, like, this all kind of started, like, for me, it started in a time of like, definitely a time of like sorrow, and like I was really in a dark place. A lot of people know about it, but a lot of people really don't know the actual like situation. They just know parts of it. But it's fine. I know, God knows. But I do think that a lot of me, like, first having that like trigger moment to understand that I believe in this like whole love thing, and in this like that's how I walk out my faith. Like that's how I do it. Was reading the first book by Bob Goff, the Love Does book, and now I still haven't even finished the second book, just because there's like still so much that I'm like comprehending from the first book that I just have to take time, and I have to like give myself grace for, okay, I forgot to read the Bible yesterday, I'm gonna catch up and do it tonight, and you know. And so it's just so great to be able to come to these like refreshing breathing moments and being like, wow, that's so cool that like I'm okay with who I am. Like, I don't know, it's just really cool. And so I drew those conclusions from his works, and I absolutely adore him and like his message and his purpose for people. And I just like find myself like really wanting to share that a lot and things like this. And yeah, I don't know. So I'm gonna keep driving, probably watch some Netflix. Do not advise doing that. and stop in the bathroom. So I hope that you enjoyed this or didn't. Oh well. But thank you all so much.